Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be checking out my first battles in the Mega Master League featuring Primal Groudon. Now this is a very interesting format. It's Master League, but with all Primals and Mega Evolutions allowed. And in day one, I decided to test out my Primal Groudon, and oh my goodness, this thing was so much fun. Primals are extremely strong. You definitely have to account for them in any team you're building for the Mega Master League. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Primal Groudon in action in the Mega Master League. Hopping to the first match, picking up a dominant lead, Primal Groudon into Melmetal. Opponent save switches into Dialga, and their team is absolutely core broken by Primal Groudon. No baits here, going for the Precipice Blades. Precipice Blades one-shots Dialga, and just like that, we are in the driver's seat for this match. You have to be really careful when team building in this format. You have to make sure that you have some good responses to the Primals, because if you do not, they will run absolutely roughshod over your team. My opponent sends in their Mega Gyarados, and I pivot into Kyurem. This is a losing matchup for Kyurem, but what I'm after is that attack drop with Glaciate. And now, I'm just going to wait my clock, send in Dragonite, and I should be in a pretty good position to close out this game. Opponent going to send in Melmetal. I'm farming up, firing off the Superpower. Now this will hit for super effective damage onto the Melmetal. Superpower is going to land. I am able to switch into Primal Groudon. My opponent does have a lot of energy here, and they're going to start throwing. They go for the Superpower. I'm going for the Fire Punch on the CMP tie, and that will deny their second Superpower. Fire Punch is going to KO. Back in comes Mega Gyarados, and Mega Gyarados is just not getting to enough charge moves to win this game. I'm just going straight Fire Punch. Fire Punch gets him low, gets the farm down, and that is a good game. Moving into the next match, leading Primal Groudon into Lugia. Now this is a matchup where Primal Groudon actually has a lot more play compared to the regular due to its fire subtyping. Getting same type attack bonus on Fire Punch allows Primal Groudon to fight back in a way that the regular just simply cannot. I'm going for Fire Punch number 2 onto Lugia, and Lugia is already below half health. They have farmed up so much energy, I will respect the potential Aeroblast. I commit the shield, it's the Aeroblast, and I should be in a pretty nice position now. I have farmed up so much energy, I'm going for another Fire Punch. This is not quite going to KO, but it will get the opponent low. I farm up, switch, and catch the Sky Attack onto Kyurem. This way, I save energy on my Primal Groudon, and I'm able to bait out their best response to a Dragon type in the back, which is Dialga. I make it to the Glaciate. This will, of course, debuff my opponent and put them into Fire Punch range, and I have a Fire Punch loaded. So I can send back in the Primal, go for the Fire Punch right away, and unless they're willing to shield, which they are not, they're gonna get KO'd. In the back, my opponent has Mega Gyarados. I'm building up to the Precipice Blades, baiting with a Fire Punch, hoping for the shield here. Opponent does respect the Precipice Blades, and now I can send in Dragonite, and I end up catching an Aqua Tail as I do. Let's go. Now I just have to watch for a potential Superpower catch onto Lugia. I keep farming. Opponent sends in Lugia. They do not get the catch. And I'm going to farm up to a Dragon Claw plus a Superpower. Firing off the Dragon Claw first, hoping to get the shield. Dragon Claw gets the shield, and I have the Superpower loaded. Dragonite with a sliver of HP takes down Mega Gyarados and gets the win. Hopping into the next match, leading Primal Groudon into Mega Venusaur. This is a matchup that is dramatically helped by the fact that Groudon is now part fire, so I only take neutral from Frenzy Plant instead of super effective. I'm firing off this Fire Punch, big damage onto the Venusaur. Venusaur is going to return fire with the Frenzy Plant. This is only neutral, so I'm able to tank it. I'm going to farm up 6 Mud Shots on the Groudon, switch, and then catch a Frenzy Plant onto Kyurem. Now this is going to be resisted, and I'll check and see do they have a counter to Dragon types in the back, and they do as they send out Dialga. I will be able to make it to a Glaciate. This will get some chip damage, putting it in Fire Punch range for Groudon, and on top of that, lowering its attack. So now I can wait my clock, send back in the Groudon, go for the Fire Punch right away, and I'll either be able to grab a shield or deny all the energy that they got from farming me down. I'm going to fire off the Fire Punch. That is going to KO Dialga. In the back, they have Zacion, and I am in such a good spot to close out this game. Dialga Zacion is one of the best cores in the regular Master League, but in the Mega Master League, this core gets torn to shreds by Primal Groudon. They go for close combat. I'm full sending the Precipice Blades here, hoping my opponent calls a Fire Punch. They do not, and I'm just going to continue to farm with Primal Groudon. I will commit the shield. Odds are they're going for another close combat here, and they're now at -4, which means I can just go straight Fire Punch here. Fire Punch has never done that much damage as it KOs. Opponent sees the writing on the wall and concedes the match. Nightmare lead in the next match, Primal Groudon into Primal Kyogre. I immediately save switch into Kyurem, and my opponent responds with Dialga. Not what I was hoping to see, but I did need to bait out their best response to a Dragon type. I fire off the early Glaciate, that will of course lower their attack. My opponent forced to go for the Iron Head, and I'm actually going to shield here. I want to try and get shields down to have my best chance of winning. I'm able to make it to Glaciate number 2. This will be grabbing a shield from my opponent as Glaciate does get the shield, and I decide to stop attacking at the last possible second to try and give my Groudon a bit more farm. Groudon gets the farm down, opponent going to be sending back in Kyogre, and I'm going for Precipice Blades. This is neutral, but this will deal devastating damage if it lands, which it does. In comes Dragonite, and it's a simultaneous switch. We have Dragonite into Lugia, and unfortunately, I've just been countered Mon for Mon here. I fire off the Dragon Claw, that just does no damage. Lugia is an incredibly effective anti-meta pick in this format, specifically due to its massive bulk. I'm going to reach one final Dragon Claw just before they're able to KO, and at this point, I'm going to need 3 Fire Punches to win this game. I'm going to need 1 to kill each of the remaining Pokemon, and 1 to grab the final shield. So I will commit the shield here on the Sky Attack, and just look to overfarm quite a bit. Groudon continuing to farm, aggressive switch in with the Kyogre, and I'm forced to fire off a Fire Punch. Fire Punch gets the knockout, but they have the move loaded on Lugia, made it as close as I could. Down goes Primal Groudon, and that's game over. Great lead in the next match, Primal Groudon into Excadrill. Groudon towering over Exca in terms of size and in terms of CP. I'm going for the Fire Punch right off the bat. Opponent lets it through and gets one shot. Oh my goodness, in comes Mewtwo. Mewtwo farming up. I'm going to bait with the Fire Punch, and I end up winning CMP. Opponent is going to respect it with a shield, and at this point, I can tank whatever they throw here. So I am going to let this through. Opponent goes for a Shadow Ball, and now I'm going to send in Kyurem. My goal is again to check and see, do they have an anti-dragon in the back? I will commit the shield. They go for the Side Strike, continuing to farm up here. Mewtwo not quite able to make a move as I fire off the Glaciate just before they get there. Glaciate gets the shield. Opponent overfarms too much. They were not keeping track of Kyurem's energy, and that's gonna cost them. Dragon Claw gets the KO. In the back, they have Zekrom, so they were ABA weak to Primal Groudon, and Primal Groudon is about to absolutely destroy Zekrom. Back in comes Primal Groudon. This Precipice Blades will do 144% of its HP. Down goes Zekrom, and that is a good game. Great lead in the next match, Primal Groudon into Kartana. Opponent save switches into Rayquaza, and I'm going to respond with Kyurem. Unfortunately, I don't have a good response to a Rayquaza save switch, so if my opponent wants, they can just commit shields and take switch from me. I shield up Breaking Swipe, and I'm going to fire back with Glaciate. This is going to debuff them after they debuff me. Opponent lets it through. They are perfectly fine conceding switch advantage. All they were after were the shields. And now my opponent is going to send in Kartana. Resisted Razor Leafs, not enough to KO, and I do make it to a Glaciate. This is only neutral, but Kartana is very glassy. Kartana commits the shield. Back in comes Primal Groudon in the back. Oh no, they have Zacion, and Zacion is about to get absolutely demolished. Precipice Blades KOs the Zacion. In comes Kartana. Kartana firing off a charge move. I tank whatever they throw here. They go for the Night Slash. That is not going to KO. And they concede the match. Terrible lead in the next match, Primal Groudon into Dragonite. Dragonite is an incredibly effective counterbalance against the Primals. I save switch into Kyurem, and I'm able to bait out my opponent's Zacion. Baiting out the Zacion is good, because obviously my Dragonite does not want to see that in the back, but still, hard losing lead and hard losing swap is a bit unfortunate. My opponent has farmed up quite a bit of energy here. They fire off close combat. That gets me low, and I'm going to return fire with the Glaciate. They are now debuffed. Opponent lets it through, but survives with a sliver of HP. That is great matchup awareness by my opponent, as they're able to keep switch. I send in Dragonite, get the farm down. My opponent sends in their own Dragonite. This actually gives me hope. Once I get the Dragonite out of the way, maybe there's a chance that my Primal Groudon is going to be able to clutch in the endgame. I commit a shield, I fire off the Dragon Claw gets the shield, I'm gonna go for a catch. They have a slight energy lead, I farm up, switch, and I get the catch onto Primal Groudon. This is big, we'll have to see what they have in the back, and it's a Mega Swampert. And unfortunately, that is going to be game over for me, as Mega Swampert, thanks to Mud Shot, unfortunately that Mud Shot Hydro Cannon combination is just too deadly. Even if I successfully bait here, which I do, I'm going to get outpaced. My opponent goes for the Hydro Cannon. This is double super effective damage. Down goes Primal Groudon, and I just cannot reach enough Dragon Claws to KO here. Opponent can very easily go for the Hydro, get the knockout, and get the win. Incredibly good lead in the next match, Primal Groudon into Mega Gardevoir. This is a dominant matchup for Groudon. Opponent save switches into Zekrom. Oh no, they were completely unprepared for the Primal Groudon, and they are about to get punished. Precipice Blades gets the shield, and now I can send in my Kyurem. Kyurem with the shield advantage will comfortably be able to keep switch, and honestly, that should be all I really need to win this match. Go for the Dragon Claw. This will KO unless they give up their final shield. Opponent is going to let that through. And now go for farm on Mega Gardevoir. Gardevoir gets the farm down, but their switch clock is not yet up. So I send in Groudon right away, and I'm going straight for the Precipice Blades. No baiting here. Looking for the one shot, and it lands in the back. They have Garchomp, and Garchomp is going to concede the match. Picking up a great lead in the next match, Primal Groudon into Zacion. Let's go. Opponent is going to save switch into Mewtwo, and honestly, I don't have a hard check to a Mewtwo save switch. I'm going to stay in with Groudon, tank the first Side Strike, build up to a Precipice Blades, and then bait. Even if my opponent calls the bait, this will still deal quite a bit of damage. Fire Punch does get the shield. I'm going to farm up on the Groudon, switch, and catch onto Dragonite. Honestly, I probably would have been better off switching as soon as I successfully baited, as now they are going to be able to reach another Side Strike before I make it to my Dragon Claw. I will be forced to commit the shield, but the nice thing here is I should be able to overfarm quite a bit, throw 9 Dragon Breaths, and fire off that Dragon Claw just before they make it to their next Side Strike. This Dragon Claw is going to KO, opponent is going to send back in Zacion. Zacion looking for the farm down, I'm going to fire off Superpower. This is only single resisted, and will hopefully mean that they get slightly less farm. They do leave with a lot of energy. I send in the Groudon, and I go for the Fire Punch. I'm hoping that they lost track of my energy, but great energy awareness by my opponent. They know exactly where I am in terms of energy. Zacion goes for a Play Rough bait that is going to be resisted. In the back, they have Mega Swampert, and I have Kyurem. The exact reason why I run Kyurem on the save switch with this team is that Kyurem, thanks to Glaciate debuffs, has a lot of play versus Mega Swampert. I'm going to fire off the Glaciate here. Glaciate will do some damage, but what I'm after is that attack drop, because now when they go for the Earthquake, I can actually survive this. Earthquake, not going to KO. I'm able to make it to Glaciate number 2. My opponent needs to farm up to back-to-back moves to win. Glaciate gets them low. Swampert farming up. Swampert cannot get to the back-to-back. Zacion will get hit with the Glaciate. Kyurem standing strong, getting the KO, and that is a good game. We've got same leads in the final match, Primal Groudon into Zacion. Very good lead, made even better by the fact that they're staying in. So the opponent is clearly weak to Primal Groudon somewhere in the back. No baits here, I'm going for the one shot. Precipice Blades does get shielded by my opponent. My opponent has farmed up a ton of energy here, and they're going to start launching these close combats. Close combat number 1 is going to land. Opponent makes it to close combat number 2, and I will commit the shield. I'm expecting them to switch out here since they are very debuffed. My opponent actually chooses to stay in, so I'm just going to go for the Fire Punch. They're very debuffed. This Fire Punch is going to KO. Opponent sends in Dialga. Oh my goodness, they are so weak to Primal Groudon. I'm going for the one shot. Precipice Blades does get shielded by my opponent, and I'm going to save switch into Kyurem. I do need to check and see if my opponent has a good response to a Dragon type in the back, like a Fairy type. If they do, I need to try and bait it out. I'm farming up. I'm going to fire off the Dragon Claw here. Dragon Claw not going to KO, but will get them low. Dragon Claw gets the Dialga low. Kira not quite able to get the farm down. That is very unfortunate there. Iron Head is going to KO. I'm going to wait my clock, and then I'm going to send in Primal Groudon. I'm hoping it's something I can one-shot with Precipice Blades, but it is not. They have Landorus in the back. I'm firing off the Fire Punch, and then I should be able to switch into my Dragonite and make it to a Dragon Claw before they make it to 2 moves. They're going to fire off the Stone Edge. This Stone Edge will land and deal a ton of damage, but Dragonite able to hang on, make it to the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw is going to KO the Landorus, and I farm down Dialga, and that is a good game. While the Mega Master League does have its issues, especially in terms of accessibility, I would say that Mega Master League is probably one of the more fun metas that I've played this season. The Primals and Mega Swampert are of course very centralizing and strong, but as long as you build teams with those top meta Pokemon in mind, if you're not running those Pokemon, make sure you're running teams that can beat them, and honestly, this meta does prove to be quite a lot of fun. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.